Alright people, how's it going? I'm the Crown Clown, and today, your cries have been heard. I know I've been putting this episode off for a little bit, but hey, we are finishing up the Grand Magic Games today, and what if Deku is Isekaed to Fairy Tail? Part 4 or 5. Yeah, part 5. Brain fart at the moment. But yeah, this series only has like 3 more episodes after this, so yeah, it's gonna be wrapped up, but don't fear, another Fairy Tail What If will come in March. And JoJo month is actually going to be in April, because I went over the what ifs I have to put out, and that's Tiki Meek and Grimjow, which are going to take a little bit, and I have to finish those up before March, because all of March is kicking off Kaiju month, and I'm just going to go ahead and let you guys know what to expect for March's Kaiju month. So, for March's Kaiju month, we are going to be doing What If Deku had a Kaiju quirk, and the one I'm basing him off of is from the manga series Kaiju number 8. So look out for that one. Interesting abilities, and it actually would fit pretty well into the My Hero world. Now, the second one is what if Natsu had Destroya inside of him instead of Igneel, which means Natsu's not a dragon slayer, he's a kaiju slayer. So yeah. And the third one is going to be a new What If anime that I'm doing, and that is Fire Force. I promised you guys some Fire Force What Ifs, so I'm going to start doing them in March. And we're doing What If Shinra had Godzilla's powers. So yeah, look out for that. And the final one will be another My Hero Kaiju What If, but I'm not going to really state that one right now, because I'm still trying to iron out some details on it, but look forward to that. Anyways, with that out of the way, I hope you guys will enjoy this episode of What If Deku was Isekaed to Fairy Tail. And where we're picking up is basically Lucy got the keys. She has every single key in her collection right now. So she has no real reason to turn her down, because remember, Lucy, she's a bit more selfish than this. She really doesn't care. Like, as long as she gets the keys and gets her goal, she's good. She has all 12 Zodiac keys now. And Gray is actually pushing her to collect them all so she can complete her dream. And yeah, Natsu, he still did chase down Yukino, and Yukino did still tell him about what happened with the whole deal about her having to erase her old guild mark. Deku went in there and just basically blew that shit up, and Deku tells Natsu why he did that, and Natsu explains, and Deku's just like, look, you can't keep doing that shit, man. Like, for real, you're gonna get us fucked up. And so, after that whole incident, the Grand Magic Games Committee tells Fairy Tail they have to condense their team into one team a lot earlier than in canon. So the new Fairy Tail team is going to be Deku, Cobra, Gajeel, Lucy, and Natsu. But they have reserve members. The reserve members are Gray and Loxus. So don't worry, because certain incidents going to happen soon enough where there's going to have to be some reserve members put into play. So yeah, first event up in day 4 is the full-on water bubble thing. Lucy is still going to be the one to go in there, like in canon. So don't worry, Lucy's going to get some more time, but Minerva's not really out for blood, because to her, it was a scummy thing for her father to do, and she dislikes her father. So don't really worry about that. So Lucy's not going to get folded as bad as she normally would, by any stretch of the imagination. Because Minerva and Mira actually have a good friendship. Like, Sabretooth's members, their strongest members, are friendly with Fairy Tails, except for like Orga and Revis. those two kind of just don't like Fairy Tail for no real reason, but can't be helped. Anyways, so in that event, everything, since Juvia's not in there, it's actually a lot easier for Lucy to get a lot of people disqualified, as she is the last one standing with Minerva. However, Minerva is not one that Lucy can beat with just Aquarius, or any of her celestial spirits, since Minerva has spatial magic. And she's been training it a lot harder than ever. So with that, she actually counters Lucy's spirits with some degree of difficulty, but not to the point to where she would actually have to really go all out. But Lucy is still defeated. Not brutalized by any means. She can get right back up and walk off, and she's not completely just down in the dumps about her loss. Like, in her mind, she fought pretty hard and she accomplished a lot, so she's pretty happy with that. And Minerva actually shakes her hand and tells her that it was a good fight, but she just wasn't able to push through to the finish line. So Wendy's actually watching this, and she's just like, that's actually pretty nice of them. And she's actually kind of salty about not being on the team at all. Like, she thinks that she should be there instead of Natsu. And definitely, Gray thinks he should be there instead of Cobra. And Cobra can hear it in his thoughts, and he's like, hey man, don't blame me. I was put here myself. And Deku's like, what? You guys really want to be on here this badly? And Wendy's like, I've been on every team for the past 7 years, and you just switch me out now? Why? As Natsu is just telling her to take a chill pill. They need to, like, get caught up. You're way too strong, Wendy. As Gajio's like, yeah, I honestly want to test my abilities, and with you there, it would just be a wash. And she's like, okay, but why does Deku have to compete? And everyone's just like, you're crazy. He's the strongest person in Fairy Tail. Of course he's competing. And Wendy, she's just like, this is some bullshit. And Lucy says, well, if you want, you could kind of take my spot. As Wendy's like, you sure? And Deku just tells her, Wendy, you're not on the reserve team. I'm sorry, but we're not going to be able to have you on there. And yeah, that whole happens. Now, Lucy, she goes back to her room a bit earlier, right? And she's by herself. So what happens when you're by yourself? Yeah, she gets kidnapped by the magic guards and taken to that underground facility. So nobody's gonna know that till the next day, though. So yeah, the next event that's on the Grand Magic Games would actually be the 2-on-2 battles. Now, with Quattro Puppy lineup, it's still the same. Blue Pegasus' group is still the same with Ichia. The result, it's still the same. Now, with Lamia Scale versus Mermaid Heel, that actually still goes same way. Same deal as in canon. Leon gets, like, shat on. Because Kagura, even though she's not as brutal, she's still out to win. Like, she wants to make her brother proud. So that drives her just as hard as the revenge thing, because in her mind, she has to be able to protect her brother from any type of people that would come to take them away again. So, yeah. Now then, in the Dragon Slayers Battle Royale thing, it's actually not Natsu and Gajio, but Cobra and Gajio. And there's a reason for that. It's because Natsu got a bad feeling in his stomach all of a sudden. As he decides to rush over there to the hotel to check on Lucy's not there. And Natsu can actually smell that there were several other people in that room. And he decides that he needs to bring this up. And so, where does he go? But back to the stadium. And since Natsu wasn't there, Cobra had to take his place. And since Sting and Rogue have been having a lot of interactions with Deku, they know that Gajeel and fucking Cobra were trained by Deku for the whole 3 months alongside Elfman. Now, for that whole deal with Elfman, he was in his Deliora mode almost the whole 3 months. So it was literally Cobra and Gajeel had to literally power themselves up physically and magically to survive, or they would have died there on the island, because Deku gives no fucks. He literally just would have let them get hurt to the point to where they would need to be taken back to the guild hall and had to have set this Grand Magic Games out, because that's how he trained everyone over those 7 years. Is like he broke them down to their utter destroyed limits and then brought them way back up, surpassing them a million times up. Gajeel and Cobra were able to hit that high without hitting the absolute rock bottom low. They came close, and they remember that training, and they bonded fiercely over that, because they call that the God Slayer's Hell. Basically, because you're fighting a god and a demon, and they're only dragons. And the whole time, they were getting shoved right into the ground by Deku. Even Elfman got bodied by Deku. So, yeah, it was actually pretty rough. And with Sting and Rogue seeing that, they're like, hey, aren't you the two dragons that were trained by Deku? And basically, Gajeel said yeah. And Cobra said basically yes. Although I wouldn't really call it training. More like hell. As they're starting to remember everything that went on. And Sting and Rogue's just like, are you guys as strong as him? And Gajeel and Cobra say, no, we're not nearly as strong as Deku. He's still way out of our league. And Sting and Rogue take the biggest sigh of relief in history. And they're like, okay, good, we actually got a chance to beat these guys. And Cobra and Rogue look at each other, and Cobra just says, you know, I'm hearing your thoughts, and it sounds like you pretty much think you've already won. And Rogue says, well, if you're not on Deku's level, you might as well don't have a chance against us. And Gajeel just says, go ahead and try it, punk. I'll take you on then. As Cobra looks at Sting and says, looks like you're dancing with me, Twinkle Toes. As Sting just says, Twinkle Toes? And Cobra says, yeah, Deku told me all about your sparkling little white light power. You're basically just like a fancy flashlight, I guess. And pretty much, Sting's pretty fucking embarrassed by that. And he's just like, you're fucking dead. So, the match starts, and Cobra's just chilling. He's just like, come on. Sting tries to go for a high kick. Cobra's dodging. He can hear all of Sting's movements. And he's just beating that man. And Cobra actually makes a fucking iron fist and slams it right into the fucking side of Sting's head. And Sting is surprised that it hurt that bad. He looks, and Cobra's just like shaking his iron fist like, come on. And Sting's just like, oh, this is so unfair. As when Rogue tries to hit Gajeel, he notices Gajeel just literally goes right back into the ground. And he's just like, oh, you've got to be fucking kidding me here. And They're like, yeah, we kind of got some upgrades over the time, and Rogue's just like, how the hell did you get shadow powers? Of all things, how the fuck did you get shadow powers? And Gacho says, Wendy. And Rogue just looks at Wendy, and Wendy just smiles and waves as she points, as Rogue looks back down, and Gacho lands a huge fucking uppercut. And he literally just grabs Rogue's leg and slams him into the ground and says, Iron Shadow Dragon roar, and blasts Rogue right down into the ground, and he breaks it down to where they fall to that underground area. And Gajo's like, what do you know? Neat. As he jumps right back down in there, as he says, the only thing that's missing is a shovel. As Deku literally just like throws the shovel in the arena. And the Grand Magic Games Committee, they're just looking at Deku like, you didn't have to do that. And Deku just smiles, flips them off, and says, yes, I did. They requested a shovel. And they're just like, one of these days, we're going to get you out of here. We're going to ban that shovel next year. And Deku says, that's fine. I have another legendary item. And they're just like, oh, Lord, what is the new legendary item? Deku just whips out his belt and just slaps it. And they're just like, a belt. And Deku looks at them and says, yes, a belt. A belt of a god. If you want to feel its power, come at me. I will only use the belt. And that announcer guy that always has to change his hair, he's had enough of Deku stealing the show from him. So he gets up, he walks over there and says, go ahead, show me that power of the fucking belt, as Deku just whips him across the face, knocking like 5 fucking teeth out of the guy's head. And the guy just sees his fucking wig flying into the arena. Cobra catches it and just says, you know, if you're gonna wear a wig, make sure it stays on your damn head. As he basically just shoves it in Sting's face. And Sting's just caught off guard, and he's spitting it out, and he's just like, the hell, man? And Cobra says, it's in the arena, it's fair game. As Sting just says, I've had enough of this. As he just blasts the ground out from underneath Cobra, as Cobra's just like, well, fuck. I'm the free fall. As Gajo says, don't worry, it's not that bad. As basically Cobra lands, he's like, not that bad. Sting lands, and Rogan says, okay, it's time. Sting's like, yeah, I'm getting tired of being fucked around with. So they do their unison ray. And this is making Cobra and Gajo not nervous at all. None whatsoever. They're like, hey, they can use a unison ray. And Cobra says, should we try ours? And Gajo says, sure. So Cobra infuses poison into Gajo's iron. And it's literally a unison ray of poison iron, but Gajo mixes in the shadow along with it. As it's now a triple element unison ray. And Sting and Rogue's like, oh, come the fuck on. And Gajo and Cobra just smile. And they say, yeah, this is gonna hurt. And they're just like, what type of hell did you go through? And Cobra just says, we'll tell you over a beer sometime. If you're old enough to drink, kid. And Gajo says, they should be. We've been gone 7 years. And Cobra says, true enough. Yeah, we'll tell you over a pint, kid. So they just blast them as Sting and Rogue do their blast. And yeah, it overpowers Sting and Rogue, and they get sent flying. And Sting actually gets put in the fucking cart, and it starts blasting him down the mine. So he literally can't get out of it. And Rogue's just, he's knocked out. So, yeah. Cobra takes the shovel, and he just puts it right by Rogue's face and says, well, how deep you want your grave? As Rogue just says, just let me sleep. And yeah, the Master, he's still pissed. Like, he's pissed that they got beat this badly. They've been beat before, but they've never been beaten at every turn, at every angle, obliterated even by their own Unison Ray. They've never been that badly embarrassed before. So, yeah. The whole deal is, that day, it comes to an end. And Sting's crawling his way up out of that damn cave. And he's just like, gosh, damn fucking motherfuckers. So, he actually goes up there. And, hold on. Sorry about that, I'll try to edit that out, but if you guys can hear it anyway. But anyway, so he sees that it's dragon bones everywhere, as far as the eye can see. So by the time he gets back up there, Rogue's waiting for him, because Rogue doesn't want to go back to the guild hall alone. Not by a long shot. And yeah, Rogue and Sting are walking up there as basically the Master, he's on his shit. And he's not just pissed. He's just like about to have a fucking vein pop inside of his own body. Like, dude just has no chill anymore. And it's even worse because he's on a losing streak. His whole guild is on a losing streak. They've never won a single Grand Magic Games. So it's even worse for him. So he's not just satisfied with them erasing their guild marks anymore. He's like, you guys have constantly lost time and time again. You're gonna have to pay with more than just your guild mark. As Sting and Rogue just look at him like, what? What do you mean we're gonna have to pay with more than just our guild mark? And you know, the Master says, you're gonna have to pay with your lives this time. As he's charging up, and Minerva, she's not about that. Not in the slightest. And she knows her father won't back down. So she's not even gonna waste her breath. Because Rogue is her man. Like, she's not about to just let her man die like a bitch. So she creates a fucking spatial rift inside of the Master's fucking throat, and his head just like falls fucking off, killing him. And she's just like, okay, so for that, I'm the Master now. They're allowed to stay in. We're not following his orders anymore. And as soon as she says that, she starts to feel a little sick. There's something in her stomach. It's just like causing her to have this nauseated feeling. And she's just like, what is up with me? And Rogue catches her as he's just like, hey, you okay? Sting says, let me go get Mira. So he's banging at Deku and Mira's doors. They open up and he says, hey, we need your help. And basically, Deku and Mira agree. They go. And you can just hear Minerva puking in there as basically Mira's just like, okay, tell me what happened. And they explain everything, and they're just like, okay, so a lot's happened since the night has arrived. And they're just checking Mira as like, see if she's got anything that could be useful. Mira just tells them, you're not going to check my things. Like, that's just not happening. Deku says, the fuck is wrong with you guys? There's like, we're just at our wits' end. She's the new guild leader. She's puking. We have no clue what's going on. This just happened so suddenly. We've had a crazy night. Seriously. And Sting is like literally just losing his mind. He's just like, we're gonna have to find a new member to replace her. Where are we gonna find him? As basically Deku says, what about Yukino? And Sting's just like, well, we kind of kicked her out. And Deku's just like, go get her and we'll sweeten the deal for her. As Sting says, okay, I'll be going to find her now. And Yukino, since she doesn't have any of the celestial spirit keys and all that, the military wouldn't actually pick her up. So she's just trying to find a new job anywhere nearby, because she really doesn't have the money to just leave. And Sting finds her, and he basically asks her to come with him, as she says, sure, why not? She always kind of had a thing for Sting anyway. So they go back to the guild, and Yukino, she's like, why do I need to go back into there? Are you guys just gonna yell at me some more? And Sting says, no, we want you to join. We need you. And Yukino says, I don't even have my keys anymore. I don't have any type of magic I could use. And Sting's just like, we can work around that. Just come with us, please. We really need you. Yukino says, alright, fine. So, yeah. Anyways, so they get in there, and all they hear is Deku just saying, the fuck is wrong with you, Rogue? And Sting just rushes back in, and basically Mira is laughing her ass off. Rogue is nearly getting his ass beat with a shovel. Like, Sting just walks in as Deku cracks a fucking earth shovel over Rogue's head. Sting's just like, what did we walk into? And Deku says, alright, basically the deal is Minerva's pregnant. And Sting's just like, what? And Mira says, yeah, she's pregnant. And Rogue just says, it's not my fault. Basically, Deku's just like, whose fault is it? You were the one digging her down. Why is your pullout game so weak? What happened to the Saiyan armor? You have shadows. Minerva, you could have literally just created a space inside of you to teleport that shit somewhere else. As Minerva says, but I wanted to. As she pukes again. And Deku's like, why? And Minerva says, I wanted to one-up Mira. You guys have an adopted child, not a biological one. So with this, I one-up you. As Mira says, that's fine. I'm fine with not having this whole shit going on. And Minerva says, yeah, I did not expect this, if I'm being honest, but it's manageable. As Yukino says, so should I leave and come back later? As Deku says, no, perfect time actually. Yeah, Sabretooth kind of needs you. I mean, you're not gonna win, but they kind of need you, or else they're disqualified. And you were actually kind of stronger than any of these other fodder guys. So the whole guild's just like, wait, we're fodder? Deku's like, I don't even know over half of your names. That makes you kind of fodder. As they all just get kind of depressed. As they're just like, we're going to bed. And Yukino says, okay, so what magic am I going to use? I gave my keys to Lucy. Deku's just like, that's why she was in a good mood. Okay, I see now. As, through vomiting, Minerva says she can teach her spatial magic tonight. She won't have a very good handle on it, but they can keep her out of events until the shit actually happens. And Yukino says, okay, is spatial magic gonna be enough? As Deku says, wait a minute. Why don't you just learn Requip magic. You're a celestial spirit. You should easily be able to handle Requip magic. But not onto yourself, but into the spaces. It's like you're just summoning swords or spears, and you could just have them shoot out of the spaces. As she's just like, that could actually work. So, yeah. Yukino literally just became Gilgamesh here. Just with spears. She's the spear Gilgamesh. Yeah. So, after that's all situated, the whole deal with Natsu is where he's basically just like, okay, I need to have a team to help me get Lucy out. So, this is where Natsu's team is actually going to differ. Instead of Mira going, it's going to be Loxus. So, the whole team is now... So, yeah, it's Natsu, Loxus, Wendy, with Carla, who does have her Neko form, like, she does have her humanist form. And, Happy's gonna go. And for the final one, we're having Juvia go with them as well. So, that actually leaves a lot of spaces to be filled. So, Gray's in Natsu's spot. They need one more person to fill out their own. Well, they do have someone in mind. And it would require him to come out of retirement. He's technically not the guild master anymore. So he could join. But before they have the chance to ask Makarov to join, Urza steps up and says, I will join. And they're just like, okay, sure, Urza. Why not? Female. We're good with that. Besides, Urza's gonna have a bit of a surprise. As they decide not to tell Urza about Yukino whatsoever. So yeah, Urza's gonna have a huge surprise coming up pretty soon. So, as for the whole deal with the future Lucy, that still happens. The future Rogue is still around, all that shit. Now, the final day comes, and since there was no real surrounding by the army type thing, they don't know that they could get Lucy back after winning. So they're just gonna go there and break her the fuck out. As Mira, she gives no fuck. She authorizes Natsu's mission, but tells Loxus to take the lead. So, with Loxus leading the mission, it's actually gonna go a lot smoother. As they do get Lucy out, and they're still, like, plummeted down to that fucking little dungeon type shit, but they still managed to get out of there. As for the Executioner's battle, it actually goes a lot smoother, because Wendy's so fucking much stronger, and Loxus is a powerhouse in and of himself. So, yeah, that whole fight, along with Natsu and Juvia, and you have more people, so there's a lot more there to actually compete. And let's face it, Panther Lily was nowhere near as strong as any of these wizards that I put in there. So the whole Executioner Squad thing, it gets beaten a lot earlier. And while that's all going down, the final match is actually starting up with Deku in there, and he's just telling them all to, get ready, as he finally is introduced to Mavis. As for Mavis, she still calls out all of her strategies, as Gray goes to beat Revis, as he would in canon, or Rufus, whatever the fuck his name is. Now, for that next fight, it would actually be a way different situation. Since Minerva's not there, Liliana would not get kidnapped, meaning there would be no forced fight. However, Urza versus Yukino would still be a thing. Kagura really wouldn't get involved. Like, even though she's, like, trying to win points, she's not dumb enough, since there's no forced way to be in a fatal three-way type thing. Kagura would just wait it out to fight the victor. And Urza would still take out Yukino just because of Yukino's inexperience with that type of magic. And that's the only reason Urza would win. Because it would still be a tough fight, because Urza would have to avoid all those spears just being shot out at high speed velocities. But because it's a magic that she's not really used to, it takes a lot more energy for her to do. So when she runs out, Urza wins. Now, Kagura would step in this time, and she's just as strong as in canon, if not a little bit stronger, thanks to Simon's training. So, true, she would not draw her sword because she doesn't want to kill anybody, but the sword sheath would still break. Let's be honest. It's Urza here. And Urza would still win. Overall, she'd win because I'd just say that she would pull out the fucking Nakagami armor and that'd be it. That's all she wrote for that fight. Now, the next fight, it would still be like Gagio versus Rogue. And that, it's just gonna go same way as in canon, just a lot quicker. But the evil shadow, Gagio would notice it a lot sooner. Now, for the next fight, Loxus isn't there. So it's literally just Deku, Jura, and fucking Orga. Jura still one-shots fucking Orga. So it's literally just Jura versus Deku, a battle of the two wizard saints. Deku's gotten a power boost lately. Godslayer magic from the wind variety. Meaning Jura's actually going to have to take a lot more precautions. Deku's faster, he can eat earth-type magic, and now he has sky magic. Jura's way out of his element here, but he still tries. And Deku just literally breaks Jura's shit. And he gives him the quickest of the lightning, sky, earth, god howl, as he just howls straight through anything Jura could do, obliterating Jura completely. Not even a question. So, the whole Leon fight with Juvia would not actually happen. Like, it would be Leon and like Sharia versus Gray and Cobra. That would actually end very quickly because of Cobra's abilities, as long with Gray actually being a match, if not actually stronger than Leon in this, because of his previous training with Deku. So Deku would actually be a lot, like Gray would actually be a lot better at Maker Magic because of the times that he would spend training with Deku against him and before the 7-year time skip. So Gray would actually be still those 3 months of training, thanks to Wendy's actually forcing them to in the second Origin Awakening. Yeah, Gray's way stronger than Leon. So, yeah, he beats Leon quickly. Cobra, he's actually able to take a lot of the whole sky shit that Sharia is throwing at him because of his new iron ability. He just basically walks right through it and shoots out a poison iron dragon roar to in the middle of her attack that knocks her out. So at the end of it, Sting is having to stand in front of all of Fairy Tail. Sting is literally, and yeah, Sting, he still did the whole hide and seek thing because his plan was to literally just like stall out and try to get second place. Because even though he did take out a lot of the other members, like he took out a whole Quattro puppy team, he took out basically all the other guys. So him bowing out to Fairy Tail because it's 5 people that aren't even all that injured, he's happy with second place at this point. So he bows out, and yeah, it's literally just like Fairy Tail wins. And yeah, that's actually where I'm going to leave it off for. I hope you guys enjoyed. As always, I've been the Crown Clown. Catch you guys later.